Trinity with tritheism. That Christians, whether we agree with their interpretation about the triune Godhead or not, they are not tritheists, they are monotheists, and they confess to believe in one true God. You can debate theology, but the three religions actually adhere to that monotheistic faith, and that's why they call the people of the book. And people of the book actually is a complementary term, because book here doesn't mean any book. It's not a story by Margaret Atwood or anything. Book here means the book, capital B, I, the scripture, i.e. that both Jews and Christians, like Muslims, base their faith on holy books that they believe were inspired by God in some form of revelation or the other. And look what the Quran says about the relationship with them. In chapter 5, verse 5, it says, the food of the people of the book, except of course, which is totally forbidden in Islam, like pork and its product, the food of the people of the book is permitted unto you. Your food is permitted unto them. Well, that's a very significant thing to be said 14 centuries ago, because the food here doesn't mean buying from the store. In Mecca at that time, you didn't have a hamburger and Burger King in every corner of the street, so you go and buy the food of the people of the book. The only way that people, even travelers can get food is hospitality, which means, even though it speaks about food and its permissibility, it spoke about social relationship, because the only means, or the most common means for giving food is get the guest in your house, i.e. take them as guests in your house. You're allowed to go also and be their guest if they invite you. That's one. And then in chapter 29, specifically in verse 46, there is the foundation of dialoguing with people of the book. And it says basically this, an instruction by God to Muslims. Do not argue with the people of the book except in the best possible way. Ahsan. It didn't say in a good way. Those who know Arabic, this is superlative. Ahsan. So if something is good, you look for something even better, in the best possible way, which is both courtesy, sensitivity, respect. You can, of course, talk freely about differences with respect and understanding. You don't have to agree, but respect. Best possible way. An exception made except for those of them who commit aggression against you. That's known. Aggression has to be repelled. But then it says, and say unto them, we believe in what has been revealed to you, meaning in its original form, and what has been revealed to us, the Quran and the teaching of the Prophet. Your God and ours is one and the same, and to whom we all submit. And I heard the word submit before, and that's another occasion where it is not only Muslims who are called on to submit, that in true faithful Christians will join with Muslims, true faithful Muslims will join with Christians in their concept of devotion and worship of the one true God. You could go on, and there are other verses in the Quran that are amazing also in terms of the proper dialogue, not the kind of polemics that you hear from one side or the other, at times putting down the others. That's not a Quranic approach at all. So with this in mind, I just want to conclude by saying that this various manifestation of love, if you just take one quick one, it does not only apply to humans, but that the divine love and our love is not limited only to God, but there is one more derived love, all the creation of God. We find a lot of statements in the Quran and Hadith about appreciating the beauty and benefiting from the animals, vegetation, and the Prophet even taught that you should have respect for the environment, as we call it today. There are numerous references to that. That's why he forbade cutting fruitful trees without any necessity, even in the battlefield. Don't just destroy the creation of Allah. And finally, one beautiful thing that the Prophet said. Once he was passing by a mountain known as the mountain of Uhud. And the Quran, by the way, speaks also about the beauty and different hues and colors of mountains. So it's originated from the Quran. And he looks at the mountain and he says, this is a mountain that loves us and we love it. Love the mountain? How do you love the mountain? climb the mountain and embrace it and smoosh it right and left. Well, loving the mountain actually means to appreciate that, and again, I think we're on the same wavelength, that all the creation of God is an act of love. Even trees, even mountains, for our benefit, and in itself, even innately, it's an act of love and beauty in His creation. I think the challenge for all of us and others, is not just to talk about beautiful teachings or quote from the scriptures, even though it's very important to find theological foundation for that attitude. The real challenge is practice. That is the acid test, and that's what I pray that we all join together in expressing the love of God also in variety of manifestation, as He did also in variety of manifestation. And I thank you very much for your patience and good listening, and may the peace and blessing of God be with you all.
Thank you very much, everybody. Now the floor is open for you to ask any questions, so please raise your hand. And if you want to write it down, raise your hand. There will be volunteers standing over there with cards. So
I'm kind of a Mother Teresa Catholic. And I think Mother Teresa answered this better than anyone. And she said, if you are a Jew, be a good Jew. If you are a Christian, be the best Christian you can be. If you're a Muslim, be the best Muslim you can be. That's not a theological answer, but it rings true to my heart. And I'm not a theologian, but some of these things are mysteries. Again, I find some of my Muslim brothers, I find the peace, the sense of God in them that is as strong as any Christian I've ever met. And I would never ask them I would never risk changing them.
Well, first of all, when we say somebody believes that he is correct, it is not, that's true, of course. I mean, it would be against one's integrity, for example, to say, I am embracing that religion, even though I know there is a better way of explaining. So it means that in my heart, according to my own conviction, I think it serves my purpose better, it gives me better peace, and it inspires me. But it's not like a black and white. That means the other one has nothing to stand on whatsoever. In the very verse I quoted in chapter 29, verse 46, it says we believe in the same God, okay? We believe in the same original revelation, but in the revelation even itself, there are different views in some points. So what's the lesson we learn here? You don't have to agree with everything, and you don't have to consider the others totally wrong in every respect. You might say, all right, the verse actually is discovering, the moral of it is discovering the common grounds. But again, getting a little bit to that mystery, why people of goodwill, who are sincere, who have feeling the peace of God, might be following different paths to God. Aside from what has been already said, I can refer to the same verse I quoted earlier also, chapter 10, verse 99. If God wanted, He would have made people all believers. And those people doesn't mean good and bad. Good and good also. You know? Good and good. Allah could have made them. Which means that this is the will of Allah, that people are not having the same mind, the same thinking, the same, even though it might be similar or equally, in many respects, valuable and valid from the standpoint of adherence to that faith. But there is another verse in the Quran also, in chapter 11, verses 1, 18 and 19, a similar statement is made. If God willed, He would have made all people one people. Just like there is diversity, why didn't Allah create us all one color, one height, one weight, one gender?